Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mondays with Amanda. It's good to be with you this bright, sunny morning. It has been crazy around my house, and my husband just came in the door and he's dancing down the room. Just awesome, right? It's way better than being grumpy, right? So it's so good to be with you guys today. I'm excited to share the information that I put together on how to boost communication and connection with your uniquely wired kids. Sometimes we just need a reminder. Sometimes we need some more ideas because connection is really key to helping our kids thrive and to discover what's really going on below the surface. So when you don't know what else to do with your child, with your kiddo, go back to connection. Find a way to connect with them, even for just a few minutes a day, so that there is a closeness and a safety there that you're going to be able to communicate with them. So thank you so much for showing up today. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you. I'm going to double check on these comments. You might need to give me permission so I can see your questions. But as you hop on, let me know how you're doing, how your day is going. Say hi to me so I know that I'm not just talking to empty space out there. I see some of you guys are on here already. Welcome to the beginning of this week and this new year. Isn't it exciting and overwhelming and awesome? Hi, Jen. Jen's always here with me. Thank you, Jen, for being an amazing assistant and helping with everything in Whole Brain Connections and everything with the coaching. It's been awesome. So hi, Gabby. It's great to see you guys here. Let me know how you're doing this week. If you have any questions, please pop them in there. And when I have a few minutes, I will answer those for you. On February 8th, we are going to have our next workshop, and I have refined it a bit. It's called The Contention Cure. And I'm excited to be sharing this 3-day workshop with you to really hone in on some specific principles that I teach overall, but I really want to get it deep in your bones and help you guys really be able to radically reframe the way that you see your kiddos, the situation, discover what's really going on, and help your families thrive. I'm super excited about it. Trying to make those workshops better each and every time. And then, of course, we will be opening up the Family Thrive Academy for those who want to take that next step and work with me, because I'm absolutely committed to my families to help them get the results that they're looking for, to have homes that are filled with confidence and peace and connection, right? All of those things that really make a family thrive. And that's why I have my coaching program. So I'm here today to give you guys some of the wonderful ideas and activities and games that can really help boost communication and connection. So hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you guys. Perfect. Okay, so I've got my list here. Let me know what it is that you do to connect with your kiddo. I want you to think about it. What are the things that work with your child? What are the things that help them be able to communicate what's important to them? What is it that you do that's working? I would love to see that in the comments. If you haven't figured out that yet today, I think some of these ideas are going to be really powerful for you, and they're really fun. Some of these things are so much fun to do with your kids and to help build that connection and communication. So as you know, we've talked about this in the workshop and here in the group many times, talking about building our family team. And then when everybody's on board, making the rules and the routines and getting everyone giving input and their ideas, right? They feel more bought in to what it is that you're trying to create in your home. So building that family team starts with sharing your wins and communicating, right? Sometimes our kiddos don't know how to communicate very well, or they don't want to communicate, or it's uncomfortable. For whatever reason, what's going on here, I'm going to share with you some games and activities that will help increase communication from a really laid back, fun way. So if you've got even a teen, which I've got a few of those in my house that actually sometimes really don't want to communicate. So when you approach them about something you want to improve or something that you want to talk to them about, they might kind of shut down and say, I don't know, I don't really care, I don't know. when you apply some of these activities and games, it's going to really help create this communication back and forth, giving them a chance to practice talking and expressing their feelings. Oh, cool. Jen says snuggles, Bible adventures, and reading at night. Yeah, that's a really great connection. A lot of times I just sit with my girls, just sit wherever and do whatever they're doing, if they're doing their makeup or if they're reading in their bed, or often in times when my kids need to clean their bedroom, then I will read them a story while they're cleaning their bedroom. So we have this connection, we have this interaction, and it gives them something to listen to while they're doing some of the drudgery sometimes that we have to do as human beings. Awesome. Great. Thank you for tagging all of those people so that they know about this live. Good to see all of you. I do see someone else. Hello. You say it's Facebook user. You might need to give me permission. So here's the thing. I'm super excited about this today. And I actually have a bunch of visuals here to show you. And if you're interested in any of these links, let me know in the comments and I will get those links posted. I don't have them right this second because I just didn't put them all together. Some of these things I put together last minute. Some of them I was working on last week. So let's get started. I'm going to throw this up on here. I did post this in the group. So if you want to print it out so you have your own printout of the games and activities that help boost those communications and connection, you can do that. So I'm going to add this to the stream right now. Let's see. Yes. So we're going to go over some of these and I'm going to show them to you. Right? Make sure that you give me some thumbs up, give me some hearts. Let me know if this is resonating with you. Let me know what your takeaway is. As you look at this, tell me if you've done any of these games with your kids. Tell me if your kids have liked them or if they hate some of these, right? Maybe they don't like the 20 questions if you're looking at this list. I'd love to get your feedback on this and any other ideas that might not be on this list. I would love to refine this list to make it better and better. So your input and your ideas would be awesome. Put those in the comments for us, right? We can do this all together. Awesome. So let's start at the very top. The first game that we love to play in our family, and we discovered this through my training with cognitive development. So as you might have known, I've been trained in something called Equipping Minds, and it's a cognitive development program, and it's a program in which you help children who struggle with learning, struggle with executive functioning, struggle with visual processing or visual memory or auditory memory, these types of learning keys to learning and skills. And so some of these activities I learned from that, and they're so incredible for communication and connection. So the very first one I have on there is called, it's called Stare. Okay. This one is actually Stare Junior. They've got a Stare Adult. So it's basically you stare at these cards and there's a little game board. It doesn't take that long, but it's actually really fun and it gives you a laid back, fun way to describe what's on these pictures. That's basically the idea of the game. You get about 30 seconds, you and your partner, or you by yourself, and you get to stare at a picture. Now, what's cool about these pictures is that they're all kind of like, what's the word? They come from, say, the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Very just interesting, something that your kids will not have ever seen, old cartoons, things of that nature. And so the object of this is to give them, we have a little sand dial thing. I'll show you guys. So you basically just has a little sand dial here. And you're able to look at this card and just start to memorize what's on there, right? Like how many bunnies are on there? What are they doing? What are they wearing? Okay. It was actually pretty hard at first when we first started playing this game, but after just one round of it, one game of it, we started to tap into our own visual memory pretty well. And I was surprised. And then what you do at the other part is you roll the dice. So as you roll the dice, if you get, say, a 3, then you would read the question under the number 3. Okay, so I'm not going to give you all the instructions, but basically the value of this is seeing these cards and then describing what you see. So if you don't want to go all the way and play the actual game, maybe that's too much. Maybe you just have your child at the dinner table, or while you're sitting around, maybe it's something you do right before bed, you can pull out one of these cards and you can describe it, right? You can use words, you can practice your communication skills. And as always, whenever I'm teaching you guys these principles or games or tools or any of that, I always really encourage you to do it first. Model it to your kids. Share with them the value you see in it, right? Or if telling them why you value it isn't going to help them, maybe just saying, "Hey, I've got this new thing I learned. I wanted to try it out with you. I think it would be fun," right? Just being one of those kind of an upbeat personality, thinking and sharing that with your child. So the first one is called STARE, okay? Helps improve communication. Description, right? Seeing what's on that picture. You can play it as a game, or you can just look through the cards and talk about them, right? You can sit there in bed or talk about them, or sit on the couch, or something like that. The next one is the I Spy books, which we all know what those are, right? Those are the books that you're looking for certain items in that particular book, right? So you're using visual processing, okay? So I'm kind of jumping into some cognitive development, which is really what I meant to do. But for those of you that would be meaningful and valuable, I'm mentioning it right now. So you're finding things, you're looking for things, you're processing the information, right? And then describing what you see on those pictures or in that picture book. And so often in the I Spy books, there's so much in there that you can talk about and describe and consider what's going on, or ask questions saying, what do you think that little guy's going to do next, right? So what do you think is going to happen after he, dumps that in the river or whatever, right? So you're having these conversations that aren't based around behavior or based around their own personal thoughts. It's practicing communication in a very safe, laid back way. Okay. I love the idea of reading while they clean up. Yeah. I love to read out loud to my kids. I love to read great books to my kids. And so I offer to read to them often. May Rob says Connect 4. Yeah, that's a great game. So playing games overall with our kiddos, right? Being playful, being in the present moment is going to help create that connection, especially if it's a game your child wants to. And we've got that on the list, playing games with our kids. Jen says, I haven't heard of that one before, but it sounds like one my kiddo would get into. Good for speech sessions too. Yeah. So there's a junior one. And then I found at a thrift store somewhere, I found the adult one. That's actually even harder, the pictures. But again, such interesting pictures and really innocent and active pictures. Shara, my teen is so cynical and has stopped being willing to play even board games. So I'll need some sneaky ways to get his attention to even try a new game. Yeah. Or what does he like to do? I know he likes to go out and hang out with his buddies, right? What's something, Sherry, he likes to do, and then join him in that, right? I know that I still work at, we have family meetings. We usually sit down each evening and we read from scripture. I'll be talking to you about this book, the posts I've been doing. But I usually kind of get them to come with like caramel popcorn or nachos or a bag of licorice. Like I honestly have some yummy things there to make them want to come. And I like to have fun. I like a snack. I like a treat, right? So that's not a bad thing. Video games. Yeah, it's not a bad thing to, it's not a bribe to me. It's more like, let's make this more fun. How can this be enjoyable, right? Who doesn't want to sit around and have some hot cocoa with some marshmallows and then let's look at a game or play a game, right? If you've got teenagers and they're really, they're really into their own thing, find something you can connect to them with. Okay. It won't be like this forever, especially if your intention is to connect and love and understand your teen. Play video games with them if you need to. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Let's see what else is on here. So some of these might be more juvenile. Some of them would be better with teens or better with little guys. So I have on here 20 questions. Another thing, right? that's the game where you basically can ask 20 questions. Somebody thinks of something and then they ask you 20 questions to try to discover what you're thinking about. So this could be something very simple for younger kids, right? You can say, okay, maybe you could give a list of items that they could pick from if they have a hard time choosing, or the item that they want to choose to try to describe as you ask questions might not be easy to guess. You might make, this is for something else, but you might make a list of things that they could describe by your questions, right? So basically, let's say your child thinks of an apple and their word is apple. And so you can start asking, or everyone in the family can ask a question. Okay, well, is it something you eat? And then they would say yes. Then they would say, is it something that's green? And then he would, your child would say yes, maybe it's a green apple, right? So playing 20 questions can be really fun. There's another game that I love, and there's an app for it. You can just get it on the App Store. And let me pull it up really fast. Tell me if you guys have played any of these games that I'm mentioning, or if you have games that work really well with your kids. I'm going to pull this up, and it's called Would You Rather. It used to be a board game, and I had it. And so they had cards that you could pull up and you could ask. So get Would You Rather for kids. And it looks kind of like this. I'll show it to you. Okay. And it basically asks you questions, which is kind of funny. There's some that are adults and there's some. So I would choose the ones that are for kiddos, right? And basically when you download it, the way the game works is it will give you a question and the child gets to decide which of the answers he would choose. And what's funny about it is that the things are oftentimes very uncomfortable. Like one example is, would you rather have a head that's 3 times bigger than it is now, or 3 times smaller than it is now? Okay, they're just silly questions. So they make you laugh. And they make you think about it. I think this one charges. So I'm not going to pull it up yet because I don't know if it's the one I want. But that's the idea. It would say, would you rather, walk on glass or hot coals, right? So you actually, in a funny way, you get to know your child a little bit better. You get to laugh because sometimes they're just like, oh, I would never want to think about doing that, right? One of them is just like, would you rather your legs not work or your arms not work, right? So it's a funny way to play and to mess around and to learn about one another. So that's Would You Rather. Another one is Spot It, right? This is a game you can play with little guys, but I use this in Equipping Minds. And it's pretty cool. So, you have all of these cards that have different images on them. Okay. And I don't know if you've ever played the game, but basically you're supposed to match up the different images. Okay. So every card has a similar image on it. And so this is another way of just saying, okay, so who's got a cheese, right? Or calling out the purple scissors. So you can do it really slow. And let's say you're matching up the 2 eyeballs. Can you guys see the 2 eyeballs? There's one here and one here. So another way to just practice communication, practice speaking to one another, they could match and say, oh, purple eyeball, and put it down on that stack. Okay. Because sometimes as we are wanting to build our family and we're wanting to get feedback from our kids and we're building that team, if we haven't practiced communicating back and forth and even learning how to disagree or see things differently and express that difference or express our opinion, then it can be difficult when we start having family meetings or we start wanting to communicate with our kids. So these games are to help us be able to express our ideas, point out what we see, share our perspective in a fun, laid-back way so that when we have to problem solve or we need to talk about the rules, right, or make some adjustments in our families, we have been practicing how to communicate with one another. Yes. Sherry says, I played with that with two teens in the actual board game. Also played with my students. They liked it. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like it makes me laugh all the time. My 4-year-old loves Guess Who. Yes, that's another great one. You know what? Guess Who's super fun. And you know the headbands one, you can get that game where you put the headband on and then you put the card right here. It's kind of like 20 questions as well, but with a card. That one's really fun. I love to play that with adults. It's a crack up. So those are all awesome. I'm going to put those on that list later too. Thank you for that suggestion or that idea. Super. I'm having fun showing these things. Emotion charade. So if you've got little guys or little girls that you want to help teach them emotions, right? So maybe you've got your deck of feelings and needs cards, right? And you want to practice what those feelings look like or what they feel like or acting them out. That helps us be able to, again, identify those feelings, communicate those feelings in an easygoing, playful way. So emotions charade can be really fun. Hi, everyone. Good to have you. Make sure as you jump on, say hi to us, give me some hearts. If this is resonating with you, then go ahead and click that heart for me and keep me going here. Okay. Let's see. Roots and branches. So this is a really, it's actually a super fun, cool game. So we're into family history, genealogy. And so one of the games that we've found is called Roots and Branches. Okay, so it's basically a family history or genealogy game. And here's what I want you to know about this. There's been quite a bit of research done that when children or even adults know their family history, know stories about their family, and they feel connected either through stories of the grandparents or you and your spouse or their parent, right? Or about ancestors in the past. When we feel connected and a part of a family, it helps ground us and helps us make better choices in life. Okay. So I'm going to find that article that I read originally. But the more that we know stories from our families, the inspiring ones, the ones where they overcame, the ones where they did hard things, where they just learn about their childhood or share about how it was like when you grow up, the more that our kids feel connected in their families, the more socially and emotionally mature that they will be. Okay, so there's some real deep value in knowing the stories of our families, not only just our immediate family, but our extended family. So this game is super fun. It's called Roots and Branches, and it has a game board and stuff like that. But basically, there's these different decks of cards, and there's 4 different ones. There's about your family. And on this side, it says something kind of cool. So if you get on the green, you pull the green card up. And this one says, if you had 15 seconds to brag about your mother, what would you say? Right? So if I pick this card up and I had 15 seconds to brag about my mother, I would say my mom is so kind. She always makes the best Sunday dinners. Like that is her thing. She loves to set the table, and I love it to go to her house for Sunday dinners. And I've lived for the last 12 or 13 years, I've lived away from my mom. And now I've just recently moved closer. So I'm excited to start doing those Sunday dinners. The other thing that was awesome is she was raised on a chicken farm. And they delivered eggs, right? So these are stories I would be telling my kids. My mother is so kind. She is willing to do anything for you. And she has unlimited energy. Like she's almost 70. Let me think. She just turned 70 this year. So she has so much energy. She goes walking like 4 or 5 miles a day. Anyway, so that's what I would say about my mom for right now. Another card is about you. And this one particularly says, this is more of a spiritual one. It says, when did you feel like a prayer was answered? Let me see another one that might be a little more general. What friendship would you miss the most if you were stranded on an island, right? That's a great question for a teen. What friendship, and Sherry, this would be a cool one to ask your son, what friendship would you miss the most if you were stranded on an island? Let me see what you said. This is a great insight about knowing family history. Ours is complicated since my son has never met his bio father, but I can work on sharing about my family. Yes. So here's the thing, right? We can all agree that everyone's family is probably somewhat complicated. There's a few out there where everything's like straight laced and together, but like I've got crazy family history stories, and so as you dig in and start finding those, he'll feel more connected, whether he knows his bio dad or not. There's a lot of ways that you can strengthen his ability to feel connected. Okay, another one is about your ancestors. And this question says, what is a family saying that has passed down to you and you will pass on to the next generation? So my daughter picked this the other day, and it was so funny, is when, so I'm one of 9 kids in my family, and then we had cousins live with us. So there were times where it was pretty normal to have 11 kids living in our home. That's a lot of kids. My dad was the only one that worked. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. So we we were 100% living on, I think it was like, I don't know, $40,000 a year with 11 kids, like craziness, right? So I grew up in a very meager home. But we always drove VW vans, right? So this is a story I'm telling my kids. And there were really no seatbelts in them. And so when we would come up to the front to see what mom and dad were doing, and we were kind of like all up in their face, my dad would always sing this song. In the back, in the back, in the back, 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 in the back, in the back, in the back, 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 in the back, in the back, in the back, 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 in the back, in the back, 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 in the back, in the back, in the back, back, back. Anyways, so when we were playing this game, my daughter was like, that's what I'm going to pass down to my kids, is that song. And here's another one. This one is nice to just know about you. And this one says, what is your greatest fear? And there's a whole bunch of them. Okay. So I went into that a little bit long, but I just have such a huge, I guess you could say, testimony or belief in knowing our family stories and helping our kids learn about their family and the huge difference it will make in their lives. Let's say maybe your family currently is struggling a lot. Maybe there isn't a parent in the home that you wish was in the home. Maybe there are some other circumstances that are extremely stressful. As you can start pulling stories and circumstances that are inspiring and sharing them with your kids, they're going to know that, hey, if my grandma could overcome this, right? If my aunt could get through that, so can I, right? Because there's an even closer connection than just somebody, right? There's inspiring stories, but when it's an inspiring story about somebody in your own family, you feel like your own blood is their blood. It's amazing. So creates a ton of great connection and helps with communication. Okay, I went kind of long on that one. That one's super fun. The family tree. Oh, your family tree, the game. Oh, that's cool. Where do you get roots and branches? I looked on Amazon and couldn't find it. Let me show you. I have their card. It's called theconnectionsgames.com. Okay, Gabby, theconnectionsgames.com. And I'll post that in the group too as well. Oh, you found it. Good job. Way to go, Jen. Okay, let's go through these. We're half an hour in. I apologize if this is going kind of long, but I love all of these things. And if you need to pop off, no big deal. I get it. But let me know if this is resonating you. What is standing out? What's kind of your thoughts about what I'm sharing so far? Is this something you already do with your family? Any of these games? Let me know. Okay, show and tell, another way. Let your child share with you something they're excited about. Maybe they got a new toy. Maybe they created something. Maybe they're drawing something. Maybe they're thinking about something, right? Give them opportunities to share with you and be present and interested in what they're sharing with you, okay? Another game that's pretty fun is putting a bunch of items like in a pillowcase and then sticking your hand in there, having everyone take turns sticking their hands in there and describing what they feel in the bag, right? So they're not using their eyes, they're using their hands, and then describing what they feel, whether it's soft or hard or round or anything like that, and see if they can guess what it is. Another one that can be fun to increase communication and thus connection is have your child give you instructions to go somewhere. Let's say you need to go to the store and you'd like them to tell you where to go. So they might say, okay, so back out of the driveway and then go here to the right. Okay, now stop at the stop sign. Now take a left, right? And let them give you directions, obviously, if it's safe. Or they could draw a map and you guys could go somewhere by following the map. Okay. I like that one a lot. My kids like to make maps. It's pretty fun. Another one is to tell or read jokes, right? So there's great riddles books out there or even online. You can have a jar like this. And this is for another thing, but you can have a jar with jokes in it. And I have to tell you, back in 2009, I don't think I've told you guys this story before, but in 2008, when there was that huge housing bubble and crisis, our family lost pretty much everything. We had my husband's in construction and we lived in Las Vegas. So we had lots of commercial buildings and some high rises, and we had some developments, like housing developments in our own home, and everything just went down the tubes and we lost everything. And so that's what ended up bringing us to Montana for 10 years, then to Texas, and now we're back in Southern Utah. But what's interesting about that was it was a really, really depressing, very, very hard time for our family. We were together, but it was definitely straining our relationships. It was straining just, hope about the future. And so what I told my kids, we were in a rental up near Salt Lake City because my husband was finishing some jobs up there before we went to Montana. And I told my kids, because I felt so depressed and so sad, I told my kids every joke that they tell me, they would earn 10 cents. Now, this is when my kids were my oldest was 12. So this was 13 years ago. And so, and I kept a little list inside the cupboard of the kitchen on how many jokes. So they would find these jokes and tell jokes at dinner time because I just wanted to feel happy and I felt so depressed. So I paid them 10 cents a joke, which I think is a funny story. But we look back on it and we laugh about it because Mom, do you remember when you were so sad and depressed that you paid us money to tell you a joke so you would laugh? Anyways, so telling jokes or reading jokes, right? Or riddles. Awesome. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying over here. We have an Alexa tell us jokes since I stink at telling them. Yeah, I ask Alexa jokes too, or Siri. And sometimes they're hilarious. Or you can just say, tell us a dad joke. And then they're always goofy and usually pretty clean, right? Awesome. Okay, let's go through these activities, right? So here's some ideas and activities that are helpful. Show interest in your child's passions. Okay. I remember working with some youth at my church, and I kind of like the outlier kids, the kids that are like, oh, I'm not going to like you. You're not going to connect with me. I'm tough and I'm just like, I really don't care about anything. I actually feel the challenge of I'm going to love that kid up. I'm going to figure out what makes them tick, and I'm going to genuinely be interested in that. I'm going to see them. I'm going to encourage them. I'm not going to have a huge, huge expectation on how they have to show up or be or look like or say. I'm just going to accept them and love them for who they are. And when we can do that, when we show interest, when we show a connection to our children and we love them exactly the way they are, what happens is that we're more connected and then we have greater influence on them. They're more likely to listen to what we have to say over time. They feel safer with us. They get out of the fight or flight and they're more into the level of feeling love and connection, and then they can think straighter. And then you can help create plans and suggestions and ideas and working together because you've made that connection with them, right? So that's something that I just naturally love to do, is to find how I am similar to somebody else. I love to see things that I share in common with my children, and then participate in those activities with them. Sherry says the card games are only $5 on the Connection site right now. Oh, really? That's awesome. That's awesome. I have no idea. I have never even talked to the people that did this game. It was given to me by some friends, and I've just loved it. Let's see what Gabby says. My kids have a notebook where they write the jokes they come up with. They're always trying to do better than each other, and they are both developing a great sense of humor. I love it. Laughing is one of the ways that we really stress, that we increase endorphins, right? It helps us tap into the vagus nerve, that calming, that digesting, and that resting. So same with smiling, right? When we cry, we release tension. When we exercise, we release tension. So laughing is a really, really powerful way to connect with people and to release stress. So the more that you can laugh with your kids and keep things light, the more that you guys will be connected. Okay, so you can write them a note, right? Write them a note, throw it in the pocket of their coat, or throw it in their lunch, right? Or leave it on their pillow. That's one of the things I'm going to do this week, is write each one of my kids a note and put it on their pillow somewhere, just to remind them of how much I love them and what I'm thinking about, and that I trust them, and I'm excited for them, and I'm happy that they're my child. Just things like that help them feel connected and loved. Let's see, we can just give them a hug, right? One of my kiddos could still sit on my lap, and she's 23, and snuggle with me. She's just kind of like, she just will melt into me. So some of our kids really, really respond well to physical touch and hugs and just being held. They might not want to talk at all. They might just want a back rub. That's a big one for my kiddos. Like, I can just say, hey, lay down, I'll rub your neck, right? My kids will do it anytime, because it's just the way that we connect. We might be watching a show, but I've never get my kids to say, no, I don't want a back rub. So can this be replayed? Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be here in the group. You can watch it whenever you need, Kelly, if you need to come back. Yeah. Okay, just sit quietly by them. Remember, I was talking to you about my 15-year-old, my uniquely wired child, that I just go in her room when she's doing her makeup or when she's cleaning her room. I don't say anything. I don't have a conversation necessarily. I'm just like, I just want to hang out with you. We haven't been around each other very much, I'm not really staring at her or being critical because she's doing something else, but I'm just there and just saying, I just wanted to be by you. I just wondered how you're feeling, what's going on, Be present. There's a book, and I didn't pull it out, but maybe I will take a picture of it and post it. But it's called How to Be Present. And it's a wonderful kids book that teaches you how to be in the present moment. And it teaches kiddos what it feels like and what it looks like to be in the present moment, right? And one of the examples is when you say thank you to someone for something, that's being in the present moment, right? When you let somebody get in front of you in line, that's being in the present moment. It was just some really simple examples, but for you as a parent or an educator or a therapist, just pushing pause and breathing and just being in this present moment to notice and be curious about what's going on in your kiddos' lives. Okay. Really powerful. I have been posting every day from this book, Thoughts Are Things. These are incredible discussion questions and ideas to share with your kids. These are wonderful conversation starters. We have these in the evening with my kiddos, and we talk about these things. And I honestly am super inspired by them myself. So this is a wonderful book I've been using. I have a conversation jar. So this is my example. Basically, you would write ideas of conversations you would have. You could put it in a jar. There's lots of lists online or on Pinterest of conversation starters with your kids. You can keep this on the table. I even have a picture where you can use popsicle sticks, and you can put a question on a popsicle stick. And so at the table, you can take turns pulling one out and answering the question, right? So this is building the family team. This is communicating. This is connecting, right? This is pushing pause on everyday life and just being together as a family, okay? Makes a huge difference. Awesome. Okay. Sharing daily wins. One of the great ways to connect with our kids and to get in that mindset as an adult, as a parent, is to see the things that they're doing well. So catch them doing something good. Find the hashtag wins during the day in your own life, in your own mind, and in your family's lives. Write them down and share them with your kids each day. Right? You might have a rolling tally on maybe the fridge of the things you're grateful for or the wins that you see, and you can invite your kids to participate in that, to make a list of all the good things that they see, or catching each other doing something good each day is very strengthening for your family. Eat family meals together. I think we all understand the power of eating together, turning off our devices, not having them at the table, sitting down and eating a meal. If eating a meal in your home, there's too much distractions, maybe you want to go outside or take a walk, right? Go eat a meal somewhere else. Change where you're at. That helps a lot of us do things that might be hard or uncomfortable in the beginning, and this might be hard and uncomfortable for you in your family depending on the dynamics or maybe your kiddo. So doing something different, like going to the park and having dinner and then having these conversations, right? Or talking, or going for a walk or a bike ride. Or on my list here is to throw, kick, or bounce a ball together. That's something I love to do with my kids. It's say, let's go on a walk, right? Or do you want to throw the football? Or should we go bounce a ball? I have a ball here. I love to play with racket balls. When I go for a walk with my kids, I will actually bounce a ball while I'm walking because I kind of need to stay busy. I'm honestly sort of hyperactive myself. So bouncing a ball is really helpful. Some of these other things are have a consistent family night, which means have a consistent night a week or maybe twice a month where you go and do an activity with your family. And they know that the second and fourth Monday of every month, we go to the park and have a barbecue. It could be whatever you guys like to do, whatever's in your budget at the time. But one of the ways to help our kiddos, especially the ones that are struggling, is to have a consistent family activity. If you can weekly, awesome. If you can only do it twice a month, that's okay too. Just do what works for you guys. But when you have a family activity and everyone is invited to it, everyone gets to participate no matter what the behavior has been that week, right? So they're not earning this family activity. They get to come and participate in it, whether it's going swimming or getting ice cream or going to the park. No matter what their behavior was like that week, that shows them that, hey, you were a part of this family. We do activities together. No matter what's happened this week, we do this activity. We go and have fun because we're committed to a strong family. It's really, really powerful. I learned this from another parent mentor that I followed. I went to her first workshop back in 2006, I think it was. And she talked about working with kids in the foster care system and how that's one of the things they implemented in their home, that no matter how those foster kids, how their week went, there was always a family activity that everybody got to participate in each week, no matter what the behavior was. Because sometimes our kids are really struggling, and sometimes our uniquely wired kids have a hard time with their behavior, right? And they have a hard time thinking ahead or their executive functioning or doing all their homework. So creating something that nobody is going to lose and they can have that connection and feel a part of the family, it's really, really so helpful for our kids. All right, let's just see some other things. Read a book aloud, right? Play video games together, take a walk, dance together, turn on some funny music or put on Just Dance. I love doing Just Dance with my kids. I could say sing and just anything else that you share with your child or you know that your child likes, right? I would just encourage you to do those things and connect and give your kids opportunities to communicate in a laid back, safe, fun environment. Now, for some of us, we're really intense. I'm a person who can get pretty intense. And so I would just caution you before we before we end this, I would caution you to recognize yourself and how you're feeling as you're going about doing these activities. If you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like you're forcing them, if you feel like I've got to do this or I'm going to screw it up, that kind of energy or emotion is not going to create what it is that you want. So I encourage you to always push pause, breathe, and listen, right? Come to the present moment, let go of the stress, and genuinely connect with yourself and connect with your child. Okay, let go of the expectation. Find a way to accept your child for just who they are. When we can accept our children and then connect and engage with something that they love, then we will have a greater bond and ability to help guide them in their lives. Okay, let's see. Speaking of hashtag wins, did you share today's? No school today, so I wasn't sure if I missed it. I'm going to share the wins too. Thank you, Jen. Our family activity turned into a huge argument yesterday. We will have to try to do it over today or tomorrow. Yeah. So here's the thing. When we have teenagers who are very independent, there's going to be arguments, and it's actually healthy to be able to learn how to disagree appropriately, to learn how to communicate even when things are uncomfortable, right? And then show an excess of love afterwards. Right. There's definitely that, I don't know where the scripture is in the Bible where it talks about, if you need to reprove someone sharply, right? Like if you have to call them on something and you know that it's important that they know, hey, here's the boundaries. Line was crossed. But after you do that, you show an increase of love. You show even more love and connection and acceptance of them if you have to call them on the carpet, right? Okay, so let me look at these wins because there were some really cool wins today that people said. Okay, Jen actually shared, I had a really good discussion with my youngest about needs. I had him identify a need that he has that requires someone's help, such as making lunch. Then I explained to him that mommy has a need for quiet sometimes and that I need his help to meet it. It seemed to resonate with him. I really hope it did. Yeah, that's awesome, Jen. Yeah, sharing the idea of needs and how we help meet those needs and how we as moms and as caregivers have needs as well, right? And we learn how to help meet those needs. That's powerful, long-term, incredible skills. Sarah says, my son has been showering, putting on clean clothes, and brushing his hair. His hair has gotten really long with shelter in place. Hey, don't we love it when our preteens are showering? Putting on clean clothes. I know for some of us, that's a huge win. I'm with you, Sarah. My 8-year-old is so not into showers. Oh my goodness. Okay, Allie says, sensory stimulation finally giving a calming effect for my children. My son has an electronic vibrating toothbrush in his mouth. Turns out he needed extra oral stimulation for the swing to be calming. Yeah, so Allie shared that. She's in our coaching group, and so is Jen and Sarah. And Allie had a swing. And so probably some of you guys have swings for your kiddos. Well, the swing never really calmed her son down, but she got him this special toothbrush that once he has the toothbrush vibrating in his mouth, he can swing and it actually calms him down. So that was a huge connection she made for her son last week. And she was so excited about it. Awesome. Those are wonderful wins. So if anybody else has any wins or any other thoughts, please pop them in the comments before we close for today. Let's see. Jen says it is always beneficial to lay down some rules as a team before you start an activity. It will help decrease some of those arguments. Yes. So often, if we can, in a easygoing manner, talk about how we want to play the game or how we want the day to unfold, and being really honest and setting down those boundaries and rules, it can really help things work out better. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Jen. Awesome. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Those are the activities to boost communication and connection, to build your family team, to remember to go back to connection. If you don't know what to do with your child, if your child is struggling, if you're struggling, if you feel confused, you're not sure what's going on, and you're trying to get some more insight, I would say default to connection with your child, connection with yourself, so you can start hearing what the next right step is for you. Okay, this is forever a process, but that's one of those skills that, connection will always eventually work. Okay, so let me see. We have Friday pizza and a movie night and Sunday ice cream. Oh, I love it. That's so great. When our kids have something to be excited about as well, it can be really helpful. Having it on the calendar, knowing this is when we're going to do the activity. Because think about it, sometimes being excited about something that's about to happen is actually more fun than actually doing the activity, right? Now, for some of our uniquely wired kids, that might create some anxiety. So if you know that your child, when they are anticipating something, that's just too much for them, then adjust it. Maybe you don't put it on the calendar. So just be aware of that and the unique needs of your child. But for some kids, seeing it on the calendar is really exciting. Sherry says, wins. My son spoke kindly to his grandma and showed interest in how she's doing. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, especially for a teenager. That's awesome. And Gabby says, win. After daddy had a few rough days, my kids did a 20 thing I love about dad jar. Oh, that is sweet. Oh, yes. Creating that kind of a service opportunity for our kids can help our kids get out of themselves as well. That's really sweet. I love it. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining me. Let us know any other wins that you have as you start using these games, playing them, finding them. Please share them in the group. We'd love to hear how they're working for you. I send my love and blessings to you guys. I'm excited about getting this workshop together. I'll let you know when it's time to sign up. You guys can get on that. And I'm excited about everything. I keep using the word excited. I think I need to look up in my thesaurus and find another word. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will be in the group answering questions. And for everyone else on the coaching group, I will see you in coaching this week. Okay, bye everyone. See you later.